Hello everyone, today I'm here to talk about The Phantom of the Opera. Sorry it has been a while since I posted. I've been in school, I also moved, hence the new background yet again. I feel like my backgrounds are always changing because I've moved so much in the last 3 years. But anyway, we are going to jump right into Phantom of the Opera. I'm going to talk about the book, but also similarities with the book and the musical, because the musical, especially the 2004 Phantom of the Opera version with Emmy Rossum and Patrick Wilson and Gerard Butler, is what actually really got me into Phantom of the Opera. So, let's start with the book. The book is in some ways very, very different than the musical, but in some ways also super similar. I have read the book before, but it has been years, so I basically didn't remember much about the book at all. But I really enjoyed it. It's actually really funny, especially the scenes with the managers, because they're always trying to figure out what the heck is happening in their opera house and literally like losing their minds over the fact that money is being taken from them, everyone's freaking out about a ghost, Christine is disappearing, chandeliers are falling, and I just really, really enjoyed that in a somewhat dark and very, very sad story, there is actually a lot of humor in it. So that was super fun to discover. I think it's really well written. It's not very long, and I don't know, like I said, it's just fun, but also really tragic because even though you know Eric, who is the Phantom, if you've never read the book, he does have a name. His name is Eric. He has killed people before, but you still feel really bad for him at the end because he was basically shunned from society because he didn't look normal. And I feel like that's still very, I wouldn't say as prevalent today, but there's still a lot of beauty culture going on today. Obviously, things have changed since the era when Phantom of the Opera was written, but there's still, we still judge people who look different. Like, let's just be honest with ourselves, right? And so that made me really sad. There was just a line in the book towards the end. I honestly think it should have been the last line. I took a picture of it. Of course, my phone's over there charging. But it was something like he held the kingdoms of the world in his heart, but in the end, he had to content himself with an opera seller. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so sad. So, so sad. Because it talks about how talented he's an architect, he's a musician, and all these different things. And everyone just hated him because he looked ugly, basically, is what it was. And I'm like, oh. So, yes, even though he's not a great person, you still feel bad for him at the end, and I really liked that. Also, I feel like he is the only character that actually has character development throughout the whole story. I think Christine has a little bit. Raoul, honestly, not that much. She's kind of just obsessed with Christine and wants to marry her throughout the whole story. So I feel like Eric is the one who has the most change throughout. And once again, I just really liked that. Also, I totally forgot that basically everyone is telling Christine that she's crazy. They're like, Raoul's like, that doesn't exist. And other people are like, that's silly. That doesn't exist. The opera ghost isn't real. And I was like, imagine being Christine. So I have thought of a story where I write the Phantom of the Opera from like Christine's point of view, because even though she's obviously very important to the story, I feel like she still sometimes gets lost because everyone remembers the Phantom. I feel like when the movie came out in 2004, I felt like it was a little bit like Twilight. Like, are you team Edward or are you team Jacob? It's like, are you team getting her with the Phantom or are you the team her getting with Raoul? And it's like we focus on these male characters even though they're both fighting over Christine. Like, she is the central character that drives the plot forward, even though like the Phantom is the character that we all remember and that we all want to know more about, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was really interesting to me to remember, like, oh my gosh, like she could have been put in a freaking asylum, which would have been horrible, horrible, horrible back then for, saying the things that she was saying in the book. It just put like another layer of like, oh my gosh, people aren't treating her well, and like she actually could have been in like not even danger from the Phantom, but danger from society because of this relationship that no one believed existed. Yeah. Anyway, you should totally read The Phantom of the Opera. Really great book. I love the 2004 musical. If you don't like musicals, just watch it for the set alone. Like the set design and the costume design and all this choreography. I feel like we don't see that in movies anymore, and it's really sad because it was so impressive. Obviously, it looked real because it was. Like, there wasn't this green screen crap where everyone's like, CGI is so good, and I watch it and I'm like, that is so smooth. Like, you can tell it's fake. Just, I don't know, like, the actual real sets just make it so much better. And once again, like, the costuming and the choreography were just boom. I have not seen this movie in years, and I was so excited to watch it again. I feel like my only gripe with it, well, two, I guess there's two gripes. One is that he's not even that deformed in this movie, and I was like, WTF, like, he has like a sunburn and a droopy eye on half of his face. And then my second main thing was the last song that they sang, and I totally forgot this, like, it's been forever since I've seen the musical live, it's been forever since I've seen this movie. I feel like you can't understand what they're saying. They're all just like screaming over each other at the end when it's like Raoul and the Phantom and Christine in his lair, and I was like, what the heck? Like, what? Anyway, other than that, I love it. Also, shout out to Meg. She doesn't get enough credit. She is like the best friend. Meg is like the friend that you want. She wants to obviously know who this angel of music is, but she's also not like super pressuring Christine about anything. She doesn't come off as jealous that Christine is suddenly getting all this attention. And then when Christine is kidnapped at the end by the Phantom after the whole chandelier and everything crashes down, she's like, I'm going to come with you to help rescue my friend. And her mom's like, oh my gosh, no, don't do it. And then she still goes down because she knows that there's another way in. I'm like, yeah, Meg is just the friend to have. Go Meg. Okay. So that was the movie. Like I said, book is simultaneously like very different and super similar to the movie and the musical. So there is, like I said, there's a chandelier crash in both of them. Different circumstances, but it's still there. There are the two managers who are kind of like flipping out about everything and add some comic relief to the overarching story. There is like a water trap in the movie, and there's definitely a water trap in the book. And oh my gosh, I feel like I had a whole list of things in my head, and I don't write notes for these. I just blah, blah, blah off the top of my head. But, the scene on the roof where Christine and Raoul are like, all I ask of you is what they're singing in the movie, right? There's a scene, I wouldn't say just like that, but basically just like that in the book. Obviously, there's not singing happening, but that's there. There's like a masquerade. So I feel like all of the main points in the movie are points taken from the book, even if they're mixed around, happen at different parts, different circumstances. Oh yeah, there's also a cemetery scene, like Raoul follows her to the cemetery to her father's grave. That totally happens in the book too. So like I said, I feel like all the main points, the main songs kind of happen in the book as well. And like I said, they're just switched around, circumstances different, but that was actually super cool to see that it's kind of a faithful adaptation in a way, even though it's not. It reminded me of Jurassic Park, where the Jurassic Park movie is very different than the Jurassic Park book. And yet it seems to capture it really, really well. And I really liked that. I also thought the movie did a fantastic job of showing how big the Opera House is. And like how confusing those passages could be, how there's so many layers to it, and like behind the scenes of characters or, everything that goes into a performance that you don't see as like the rich people going to the opera house. So I loved that. Also, just to shout out, for some reason when I watched it this time, one of my favorite scenes was when the chandelier crashed, but not because like, ooh, cool, chandelier crashing. It was the scenes where they show the chains ripping out of the ceiling of the opera house because there's just so much weight there. I don't know, those scenes of just pulling out were so good to just show the chaos and like the weight of that chandelier that's about to crash into everyone. I loved it. Also, in the movie, I thought they did a really good job of showing how Eric knows all the different parts of the opera house, like him coming to the chandelier and loosening it so it will fall, or him chasing Joseph Bouquet throughout the whole thing. he catches him because he knows like the areas of the opera house. I think they did that really well. So that was Phantom of the Opera. I was obsessed with Phantom of the Opera in 7th grade when I first saw the movie. Had the biggest crush on Gerard Butler after watching the movie. And you know what? Now I'm obsessed again. Like, it hasn't changed. It's still a great musical. It's coming to town, and I'm super excited that I'm going to go be able to see it live. And yes, read Phantom of the Opera. I think it's just as fun as the movie and just as like tragic and heart-wrenching at the end. You just want him to find someone to love him. Like, that is all he's ever wanted. And I'm like, I can relate, bro. I can relate. Also, yes. So once again, that was Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. Since I always end this with a question, this one's going to be obvious. What's your favorite musical? I'm going to list 3 because I can never pick favorites. So obviously, I really, really love Phantom of the Opera. I also love Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I've seen that one live and it was super fun. I just like the poppy like music throughout that's totally like, what is the word? It's not like synchronous to the time period that it's set, but it's super fun. There's also this musical called Six about the 6 wives of Henry VIII, basically having like a song battle over who was hurt the most by Henry VIII. And it is just so clever wrapping up history in the music. And if you do the research, it's like pretty accurate, like what they're saying in the songs. And so I just really, really loved that too. And the songs are just super good. They're super catchy. I love to sing all the songs from Six. Those are my favorite musicals. Comment down below. Have you seen Phantom of the Opera? Have you read the book? What do you think about both of them? What is your favorite musical? Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully I'll be able to post like more steadily again, now that school's almost over. I finally settled into my new place. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for listening, and y'all have a great day.